think we're gonna roll. I'm gonna make sure the stream's going. And it's black screen. There we go. Now we're going. All right. Let's kick this mother off. I lost my line.
Let's get this mother off.
It's This Week in Bourbon, and we're not going to throw away our shot. Here's your headlines for March 31st, 2023. Elijah Craig has now become the official bourbon and whiskey supplier of the PGA. Chicken Cock Whiskey has released its Double Oak Kentucky Whiskey, and Rocktown introduces the Column Still Collection. But before we get started, here's a quick word from our partners. Hey everybody, welcome back to This Week in Bourbon. And if you caught that intro there, Ryan, do you know even what I'm talking about? Not going to throw away your shot.
Yeah, what's that on? What song, movie? That's some movie, right?
Or, it has been on repeat in my house. My child has
fallen. It's Hamilton.
Yes. She has gone all in with Hamilton, and it is like it's on repeat around here. And so I hear the soundtrack going all the damn time.
Things in Hamilton, right?
I mean, put it this way. Her whole grade is listening to it right now. She's in 3rd grade. Yeah, there's like, they say put it this way. She's learned so many words. If you remember back when maybe you were in the 90s, like listening to gangster rap music and like, a word would come up, but you'd shut your mouth. She's doing that now when like the word damn comes up. She doesn't say it. Like she knows all the words and then she shuts her mouth for damn and then she keeps going.
Yeah. I do like, I'm not usually a big fan of plays and musicals because I'm like, why would you sing it? Just talk. But I did respect the Hamilton play. We went when it came to Louisville.
Oh, did you go? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know, 2-3 years ago. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, it was here a few years. It's been here twice, from what I understand.
Yeah, I don't remember wearing a mask, so it was pre-COVID. I think. And yeah, it was great. I thought it was awesome.
The first time I saw it,
I'm like, even people are like, Lion King, you got to see Wicked, and I'm like, I go and I'm like, when is intermission?
I mean, to be fair, I'm not much of a musical person either. If I remember, it had to have been probably 10 years ago. And I was out with Lauren and we were sitting there and we went and saw Sweeney Todd. And I don't know if you've seen Sweeney.
Don't know that.
Oh my gosh. I think I was 20 minutes into it and I look over to her. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I can't even comprehend the storyline. So when intermission comes around, we're sitting there literally reading the Wikipedia to understand what's happening. And I would have been fine leaving at intermission, but we stuck through. But yeah, the whole Hamilton thing, I saw it on Broadway in New York. Not when it first came out, but it was a couple of weeks or a couple of months.
Saw the real one.
Yeah, it was a gift from. I was actually up in New York, and then I had a coworker that was super super nice, and they actually got us tickets to Hamilton, and but it was one of those things. It was the same exact thing. Because it's New York, it's super cramped, and I remember just the back seat just being right next to my knees, and the person behind me just like on my shoulders, and you're sitting there the whole entire time, and you're going, do I understand the story correctly? Which one's George Washington? And so I'm just like trying to understand what was going on with it, but that was yeah. But that's what's going on in our house right now. It's just constant Hamilton noise.
Well. There you go. Hamilton's in the Colemans.
Yeah, I guess it could be worse.
It could be worse. Yeah. So you just busting rhymes in the shower?
I wish it was. I mean, I'm pretty sure one of those are going to be earworms where I'm just like, yeah, not going to throw away my shot.
Alexander Hamilton.
Oh, yeah. But it's fun. I guess, like I said, there could be worse things out there.
That's right.
Yeah.
It is a good show.
Well, before we get into it, a few announcements that we'll kind of go through. First is that we have had a great pickup of new ambassadors for Pursuit Spirits. Thank you to everybody that has submitted all your inquiries and emails and everything like that. We are almost getting up to full staff. Always looking again for more people. I think like right now, like San Antonio might be fine. But Austin, Texas, there's a few places around Texas we still need people. But a new one is that if you're in mid Missouri, like Lake Ozarks or Columbia or Jefferson City, somewhere around there, we could really use you as a part of that because we're starting to grow that area too. So just say, first off, thank you to our ambassadors and everything like that. I know there's been a lot of cool people that have messaged us and saying like, hey, I'm in LA, how can I help you? And it's like, well, we're not in California yet, but when the day comes, we could really use your
You're
help.
our first
And
call.
yeah, I mean, it's funny because we had an email with one of our other distributors, and they said, "Listen, I am excited to see." Well, a because it's like we're over communicating now. It's like we did they didn't they we weren't doing it much. Now we're doing too much. And so we were over communicating, but he said that we are actually pulling better sales numbers than most brands during the slower months of the year. So the system's working. So that's all I can say is that I feel that we're making an impact. So it's really kind of cool to see. It's really a grassroots effort from the end of it. So
Yeah, it's awesome. It's just it's so cool, and it's just I had a Steve Breen, who's the original ambassador,
OG
called me
number one.
called me a day and just kind of we were talking recapping, and he's like another brands are trying to recruit me, and I'm like, well, I guess we'll pay more. So
Tell them to keep just shove them off. Be like, oh, no, no, no. We just don't. What was it? Don't forget who brought you to the dance. Is that
yeah,
what it
yeah,
is?
exactly. Yeah, remember, actually, I think he gave us this damn idea, so
Yeah, that's true.
he couldn't
Damn it.
run with it and take it somewhere else. But please don't, Steve. We need you. You've been so pivotal to this. So,
Yeah,
yeah, it's been incredible. Thanks to everyone.
we'll give you a promotion. We'll give you a better title with no pay raise.
That's right. We'll give you 2 seats on Palooza on your bus instead of one.
Yeah. In our last one, as kind of announcement, I know you might have heard a other ad for it recently. Is that we are now doing a kind of a special promotion right now. If you've ever been interested in getting your hands on any, well, not to say any, but any right now available Bourbon Pursuit barrel pick, you can go to bourbonpursuit.com and there is a link right there on the website. There's a big yellow button that says "Take me to the Bourbon Pursuit barrel picks." It'll take you to Keg and Bottles homepage, and I think what we think there's like almost like 20 picks that are available on there. And
Yeah.
so we just want to let you all know that there's an opportunity right now. It's not paywall. Don't have to join our Patreon program. This is just anybody that has access to it. You can go ahead and do that. Check out, order as much as you want. You know, I would say Father's Day's coming up, but it's not. But Mother's Day's coming up, and that's just as good.
Or Derby or tax season. If you need
Yeah.
to cry and drink some bourbon, April 15th's coming. But
Might
this
as
is
well
where
do
we
it with
got
a
our
bourbon percent
start.
sticker. Yeah.
This is where we developed and kind of refined our palates was doing these single barrel picks, and we have a lot of great selections, great picks out here that people can really enjoy. In our Patreon community, if you're part of that, you get to come with us and join us on these picks and help select them. So it's a very cool thing. But yeah, there's some fantastic whiskey still available, and so yeah, check them out. We don't pick. We're too insecure to put our name on anything. So everything we do is very good. So
That's the best way to say it. Yeah, I see Paul Clark in the chat said he got the Jefferson's Wave stave. He actually got it before we have it. I
oh
mean,
man, I haven't even tried it yet.
I know. We picked the barrel, but
Well,
it's
we
been
picked
so
it, but I
long.
haven't. That was I think it was a year ago in March. So when we
That
picked that,
isn't that the crazy thing about doing these barrel picks? It's like you pick them and it's like, well, we'll see in a year.
I know it's everything in this business. Like time evaporates. It's like I feel like since we've gotten in the bourbon industry, like because everything's 4 to 6 years or a year in advance, it just like makes time just evaporate. You have to plan everything in a year, and it's like, what the hell? Can't I just do something that'll happen tomorrow? But no,
Nothing goes as fast as we want in this business.
nope, that's for sure.
Yeah. And I think we'll have some other kind of cool things to announce here in the next few weeks that we can talk about. That'll take even longer, but
I forgot we did a
it'll include
rum
more
finish,
news.
Jefferson's too. That rum finish was so good.
I
And
know.
I know. I'm looking at the
You know what we
Yellowstone
what we
too.
have is that we have those because me and you when we went to Smooth
Backseat
Ambler.
tutors. That's
Yeah, you
hilarious.
like that? Got a little
Well, I was
cocaine
on that.
joke.
Well, I think that was my line was backseat tutors on this barrel pick, and asked for Danny for the Yellowstone because we had this crazy character driving us around and got us lost on. And we were driving from Limestone to Bardstown, and he got us lost, and somehow we're in these random back roads, and he's talking about, yeah, I picked up these people and they were doing backseat tutors and trying to have sex in the cabin. I couldn't. I had to just say no, and I'm like, "What the hell is going on here? We're just trying to go to Yellowstone and pick a barrel."
Yeah, there's no backseat tutors going to Yellowstone today.
No, definitely not.
Oh man, always love a good drug reference every once in a while.
That's right.
Well, speaking of drug references, you ready to get in the first one here?
Okay.
Actually, it's true because as much as we've talked about the wine and spirits wholesalers of America, they have been against direct shipping of alcohol. They've been, or say, direct shipping of spirits, amongst other things. However, this might be
Surprised because they
well,
can
this
ship everywhere.
exactly. Well, this they sent a letter to Congress stating that the wine and spirits wholesalers of America believe that it is time for Congress to legalize and regulate adult use cannabis at the federal level. They said, we have reached this position because the current conflict between state and federal law is not only causing adverse consequences for consumers and non consumers of cannabis, but it will also have a long term public health and safety costs that are too great to ignore. 21 states and the District of Columbia are representing roughly half the U.S. population, and they have already legalized adult use cannabis, yet the markets in these states remain illegal under federal law. This conflict undermines the rule of law and weakens public health and safety while leaving states unsupported in their efforts to create safe, regulated markets and eliminate dangerous black market activity. I think we've heard that one before.
Mm-hmm.
The current federal system for the regulation of alcohol serves as a strong model for the structure that should be enacted for cannabis. I don't like, maybe I don't like where this is going. So the system is rooted in the principle that states that are the primary regulator of a socially sensitive product, but are supported by a strong federal system that regulates the production and interstate movement of the product. During and immediately after Prohibition, a significant black market existed for alcohol. It was the cooperation between state and federal regulators that effectively ended the black market and created a legal alcohol marketplace that has evolved into a global standard for consumer safety, marketplace competition, and product diversification, all of which benefit the public. The fact that cannabis legalization at the state level is here to stay is evidenced by nearly a decade of new legalization efforts and no meaningful effort to undo them. Rather, the states that have legalized are expanding their markets and even discussing ways to begin interstate commerce of the product. Yet, they receive no support from the federal government in determining how to ensure the products are safe or that the market is fair, especially as the market becomes increasingly national in scope. This is a stark contrast with alcohol, in which the U.S. Department of Treasury, through the Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau, not only collects taxes on the product, but also regulates the industry to ensure public health and fair market practices. So, it's a lot to unpack right there.
Okay. So, okay.
So
I'm
they're
com-
for legalizing it.
I know.
But
I'm trying to understand
they want,
this.
but they want the three-tier system to be involved now. That's what I get out of it.
Because they want to die. If you go to the 3-tier system, that's what. No, I'm kidding. But
Well, no, it's like, listen, I get it. I understand where they come from because they see this as a huge threat to what they're doing. I mean, cannabis has uprooted a lot of this, and that's what a lot of, at least a lot of drink companies, they started diverting and, or should I say, investing and everything like that into other types of industries just because they see the way the wave that this is going to go. The fact is that they look at this and they say, here's an opportunity for more government regulation to come into terms with it and maybe collect more taxes on it. And that I'm not the biggest fan of because the 3-tier system has already shown that it already needs reform. And now we want to go ahead and take something that's not in this reform and put it into a system that we're not already a fan of to begin with. I just don't see I don't see the upside to that.
yeah, I don't either. Because cannabis is kind of like it's different. Well, I guess it's not different because you have like producers producing it and selling it direct
To consumer. Plus,
right. So you don't have like I think of a company like I guess Wana. You know, yes, I do participate in the Wana. uh, this whatever. I'm a huge fan of Wana. So, okay, is Wana like I don't know, is it nationally distributed into like you know every state or I don't know, maybe it's just in the like Colorado. I've been to Colorado and
I
gotten
think
Wana.
I think that's one of those things. It's like they get to determine like where they go with it, but that's on a state by state level. And the fun thing, and not the fun thing, but I guess the interesting thing about this is that I know that I've talked to other people that have been interested in getting into the cannabis industry, and they said it's going to come to Kentucky, and we're ripe for it. We're going to go, and we're going to prepare ourselves. And I go, you realize that everybody in Colorado and San Francisco or California and all these places that it's already legal, like they're growing up, they're building the infrastructure. Once it becomes legal in Kentucky, all they have to do is take their existing operations, transplant it, or copy paste it, and at that point, you're already pushed out of the market because you can't compete with them, whether it's on size or process or anything else that has to do. So,
Well, there is companies here doing hemp product because hemp's legal here because
mhm.
marijuana grows incredibly well in Kentucky, and it's so stupid
How do you
that
know
we
that?
don't.
I'm just kidding.
I may or may have not consulted on with my agriculture background on a hemp farm, but yeah, it's there's hemp farms. 5 or 6 years ago, it was a kind of a gold rush to get into the hemp industry because and as an it's anticipation of marijuana being legalized here. Now Kentucky is this weird, obviously we've talked about it, with bourbon tax and stuff, but there's a weird dichotomy that like a lot of the people in Kentucky state power are disconnected from uh let's say like the where the majority of the population is. So like Louisville, Lexington, Northern Kentucky, even South Central Kentucky, like Bowling Green. A lot of people are in power in rural communities where they don't want gambling, marijuana, uh, alcohol, this and that.
Bible
But
Belt.
exactly, and so where was I going with this? Anyways, people have invested money here in hemp in anticipation of cannabis. And so I do think people that have done that will benefit as soon as if it ever legalized here, they'll all, because that's what's happened in other states is that people got into hemp production first were kind of given those licenses to do marijuana, when it became legal. So I think there's an opportunity here. It's just you got to weigh it out. How long can you weigh it out?
Yeah. Well, back to the news story. I just
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
look at
Sorry.
this.
Yeah,
Oh no,
I
I
got
just
fired
kind of
in.
look at this at like the wine spirits and wholesalers going like, this isn't fair. Like they get to do all this and we have to do this. Like, and all they're trying to do is trying to bring them under some archaic system. And I don't, as much as I'd like to say like, yeah, sure, let's legalize it, whatever. But they're trying to pull it in and saying, well, if they have to, if we have to go through all this BS, then they should go through all this BS. And I don't think that's the right answer either.
No, definitely not. And two, in Kentucky, I was always curious. Like, it's like okay, because I think in other states, like where it's legal, especially in Colorado, I think alcohol consumption went down by like 1 or 2% when they legalized marijuana. Um, and so I was curious if in Kentucky is like are the bourbon brands, just lobbying against this, and with legislation, and I've found out in the inner circles that they're not. They just don't see it as a threat yet. So it's more of just kind of like this, you know, uh, like you said, not Bible Belt, but just people that just don't understand like that. There's still this like early '90s Reagan mentality of like, oh, this is your brain on drugs with eggs, and you know, that's kind of like still like in some areas where it is, but in reality, you can go get it anywhere, So it's like let's just make it readily available and make tax revenue on it, so we don't have to, send me nasty emails about this bourbon barrel tax, affecting teachers, So
Yeah. Well, let's keep going before we get any more hate mail from teachers or anything alike.
yep, that's right.
All right. Well, it's a kind of a slow news week, so it's somewhat. So let's go ahead and just talk about it. So Regenified is the leading regenerative agriculture. Yeah, it's agriculture. Ron, you might know about this. So Regenified, it's the leading regenerative agricultural certification and supply chain solution company. And today, or should I say today, as in Wednesday, it announced that it has awarded Regenified certification to Star Hill Farm, the home of Maker's Mark. So Star Hill Farm is the first farm in Kentucky and the home to the first distillery in the world to receive the recognition from Regenified for proven and evident progress in regenerative agriculture. Regenerative was founded by a team of regenerative farming and ranching pioneers, experts, and innovators to promote regenerative farming practices and combat the decline of soil health due to intensive and unsustainable agricultural practices. The organization verifies and certifies that farms and ranches and their products that repair, rebuild, revitalize, and restore the function of the ecosystem and regenerate the soil for future generations. Through the certified Regenified label and the proprietary 634 verification standard, Regenified helps the supply chain, including farmers and ranchers, understand where their practices and lands are on the regenerative path. And Maker's Mark sits on more than 1,100 continuous acres that make up Star Hill Farm. The brand champions regenerative farming practices throughout its land to enhance the soil, reduce carbon emissions, and maximize the flavor of everything the farm yields, including several hundred acres of regeneratively grown grain varietals. In addition to embracing regenerative farming at Star Hill Farm, Maker's Mark is sharing these practices with its grain suppliers in hopes that the iconic bourbon may one day be fully regenerative practices that give more land than they take.
How many times can you say regenerative?
There's a lot in there, man. I was like, if you took a drink for every one, you might be out. I'm looking at it right now. I can see 9 just right here on my text.
Regenerative, yeah.
Regenerative.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. It's playing into the whole climate emergency and climate crisis, and yeah,
There's a don't be. There's a little bit of a climate crisis. I mean, we've had it's been some crazy weather in the past few weeks. We should be in spring. Remember about a week and a half ago, it was damn near freezing. So don't tell me there's not just a little bit of climate issues.
oh no, there is. It's just yeah, it's they're just playing in buzzwords. They're it's
I get it. And the funny thing, I look at this is like, how did they even research and go like, you know what, we should go after this certification. I think we'll make some buzz about it. But I will say that Maker's Mark has been on top of everything, and this also I think is playing into not really our generation, but the next generation. Everybody that's really worried about ecosystem and making sure that things are I want to say regenerative, but I don't. What's the word I'm looking for? Um, Basically,
renewable.
yeah, renewable resources. They're looking for that type of company to go and support, and I think that's probably just what they're playing into. It's like trying to figure out like what's that next generation really going to care about.
Totally. Yep. I I kid. I do think this is very important, yes, and we do need to think about the climate. I was just joking because it does seem like a lot of people play on this. They use the climate crisis to as a marketing thing, and that's just what I found funny. But that's me just being honest, and I should probably not be honest. So I'm sure you'll edit this out. So
Nope, not
all
gonna
right,
let it go.
all right, cool. All right, more hate email.
Let's go. Let's keep going. Well, maybe the people in New York. There's some more bottle
That's
claim there.
Some bottle noises.
So if you remember, it had to have been a few weeks ago. We talked about remember that document that got leaked by Amazon saying they were going to try to change the 3-tier system.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, now representatives of more than 1,100 New York wine and spirit shop owners they traveled to Albany, New York, to meet with legislators early this month. And this confidential document that was titled the 2021 Alcohol Public Policy Strategy showed that the e-commerce behemoth wanted to use third parties to lobby and change state alcohol laws. Among those changes targeted by Amazon is fully legalizing alcohol delivery. And Metropolitan Package Store Association and New York State Liquor Store Association and Retailers Alliance are among the groups in New York pushing back against Amazon plans. It is estimated that direct-to-consumer shipping would cost New York State 1,857 jobs and nearly $126 million in wages, shrinking New York's economy by an estimated $371 million. And this is according to data by the Wine and Spirits Wholesalers of America. Come on back, baby. So Michael Carrera, who's the executive director. Yeah, right.
The distributors.
It's like anything that could be like positive where we see things happen, they always come back and go, "Wait a minute, hold on, we got some negative news to share." So Michael, this is it. One quote here, I just thought it was hilarious. We got to talk about. So Michael Carrera, he's the executive director of the Metropolitan Package Store Association and the owner of Michael Town Wine and Spirits in Brooklyn Heights. And he said, "When you say Siri, I need batteries, paper towels, and send me a bottle of Tito's. How am I going to compete with that?" That was it. And I'm like, so I saw that quote, and it brings me back to everything that I have learned in my tech career. It's adapt or die. And you hear this, and it's like, how am I going to compete with that? Fuck, that's not your
Well,
problem, man.
you, you
That's
get your
like,
store tied to Siri.
yeah, I was like, you got to figure that shit out, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you. So don't sit there and say like you can't compete with it. Like, you've got to, like, yeah, that's what that's America. Like,
Yeah,
it's
it's like
capitalism. It's making like, and that's what Amazon's going to do. Amazon is going to try to figure out how they can make, they can squeeze a dime out of a nickel. They will try to find every opportunity to make more money, and if it's at the cost of you losing your business, they're going to do it. And that's because they have adapted. They have changed the way that they do business because they see the way that the modern consumer thinks, and they are there, and they're continually progressing forward, and they're not just trying to stick with the way it's always been. And I think that is the biggest problem that I see with all this.
yeah, status quo's a dangerous thing, but it's like I'm just envisioning someone with a horse and buggy, and they see a Model T, and they're like, "How do I compete with this?" And you're like, "Well, you
You
don't.
don't.
You come out with a Tesla. That's how you compete." But
Yeah,
yeah,
totally. I mean, I
there
like I said, I
there's
saw that, and I was just like, we have to talk about this because we talked about it
that's
already.
yeah, it's the free market. That's I know people give me shit about, whatever, my politics, whatever, but the free market is where it's at, and it dictates and decides where everything should happen and what people want. Give people what they want. That's all I can say about that.
All right. So we are two news articles down, and both of them we are not in favor of the Wine and Spirits Wholesalers of America. So
Yeah, who's funding this? I
I
want to
don't
see
know,
their who's on their contribution list. I want to see that.
because it's not the general consumer, because that is not
No.
what they're looking after.
And don't get me wrong, there's a place we've said this. There's a place for the three-tier system. There's a place for retailers. We can include everyone and everything. They're just it can't be the same system though. It's just things have changed so much between now and 19 whatever whenever prohibition went away. You
Before
know,
the internet, yeah.
yeah,
Let's go ahead and say
exactly.
that.
There's just so much that has changed, and we're not saying we have to break it down. We just need to change it to adapt to this new modern economy. So don't just we want you retailers, we want distributors to win, we want everybody to win. Let's just look at it so everybody wins.
Exactly. Thank you. All right. See, politics aside, you play the middle card. You're the JFK of this era. That's what it happens to be.
I'll get shot in Dallas next summer. Can't wait.
All right, bad analogy then.
Yeah, thanks.
All right,
By an
here's
RNDC rep or something. No, I'm kidding.
there you go.
Or the WSWA.
Yeah, right. We hear Ryan's coming to town. He's gonna be in his
Boom.
convertible. All right. That's a terrible joke. All right, enough of that. All right. Last news article here. This was I actually was very awesome to be able to see this. So, the PGA of America and Elijah Craig have announced a multi-year partnership that makes Elijah Craig the official bourbon and whiskey supplier of PGA America, the PGA Championship, KPMG Women's PGA Championship, and an official partner of the PGA National Club Championship. So the Elijah Craig Bourbon Speakeasy will provide spectators at the PGA Championship at Oak Hill with a spectacular setting to savor handcrafted cocktails, including the distinctive warm spice and smooth flavor of Elijah Craig Small Batch, while also enjoying an interactive signature wall and stunning views of the golf course's 12th hole. Spectators will also be able to enjoy Elijah Craig's signature cocktail, the Oak Hill Old Fashioned, which features an oak forward twist on the classic Old Fashioned. And Elijah Craig's award-winning bourbon and rye whiskey will also be available at concessions and hospitality areas across the PGA Championship. And the 2023 PGA Championship returns returns to the iconic Oak Hill Country Club, East Course in Rochester, New York, for the 105th edition on May 15th through the 21st.
Oak Hill's a sweet place. Going back to my turf management golf course, Oak Hill is like one of those dream courses that I want to play. Um,
I
but
probably only played it on like Tiger Woods on PlayStation 2 back in those days.
yeah, where you do the see how fast you can tap X or what is the power boost button?
It's L1, right? It was the top
L1.
left
Oh yeah,
corner. You
yeah.
do
Da,
that,
da,
and
da,
you
da.
press
Yeah,
the joystick up or
that's right.
back. I mean, you could make it spin
You
backwards
were
in
like
midair
forward,
or
forward. Oh no, I
forward.
need backward. Oh, forward, the backspin. But this is pretty cool.
Oh, it's awesome.
Usually we see PGA. It's like Longines or Rolex. So Elijah Craig being part of it's very cool. And I've always been a huge fan of Heaven Hill products, and I'm just curious what this cost. I mean, that's got to be,
Oh,
you know,
I'm sure it's not in our budget, but I
well,
think
no,
this is the cool thing. I mean, this goes to show just how popular bourbon is.
yeah,
And I think this is great for the category as a whole, that they have been able to look at sort of like where is America trending, and where can they put their marketing dollars to their best use. And they look at this as a really good opportunity. And I mean, honestly, I think it's a great fit. I mean, who do you know that drinks bourbon that probably doesn't at least attempt to play around a golf once a year? I think it's a
well,
perfect
when you
intersection.
attempt to play golf, you have to drink bourbon to make it tolerable because it's a very hard sport.
And
You're like, I
bourbon,
need a
yeah.
drink over that round because
Yeah.
I could sit at home and not get my ass kicked.
And yeah, I think like I said, it's a good intersection for everything. And who doesn't like to finish the round either, getting a drink at the end of whatever you're gonna get. And like I said, I'm
Get you,
I'm very
get
just
you an
excited to
get
be
you
able
an
to see
Oak
this.
Hill old fashioned.
Hey, you give me a sweet oak old fashioned, I'm in, man.
There, all right, there's our idea for drink for something.
Why
Sweet
not?
Oak old fashioned.
Right, just a little bit oak forward, a little bit of sweet oak.
Hey, Justin Thomas is in Louisville. We'll have him come and actually we can't afford him.
We can't
We
afford it. No.
we'll
Anybody
look
that's
at
on
it
the
like a
PGA,
Seneca Golf Course Pro or something.
yeah, I don't even think we can afford that.
Yeah, we'll just afford me and Kenny.
Yeah,
We're
well,
like I'm a 15 handicap, so that's a somewhat shitty golfer, but
maybe we should just look into maybe starting like a putt putt course first, and then we'll dive into
yeah.
that.
Let's do Tiger Woods.
Or that.
The
Speaking of
video
putt,
game. Yeah.
or this that. I'm just saying. Speaking of putt putt courses, I don't know if you've seen. There's been a big craze of like over the top putt putt courses that have been built, where you have all these mechanics and crazy things that have been built, and there's bars and all this other kind of stuff. There's one in Denver. There's one in San Francisco. Have you seen them before?
Is it like the Happy Gilmore clown where he's
Oh,
where the just
way
spits
more
the
than
ball
that.
back every time?
Oh, hold on. I gotta look at it real quick because I know. Okay. Oh, it's called Urban Putt. So
Urban putt.
Urban Putt. So if you and I've because here's the thing now is I've done them both in San Francisco and Denver. So if you're in those areas, I guarantee it. Go and check it out. It's
Oh
a
wow.
it's a fun, really fun putt putt thing. And so they've got bar, they got food, and just I'm telling you, over the top putt putt where it's like best 18 holes you ever play.
That looks awesome. Yeah, that's like not the putt putt I'm used to at Gatlinburg or Panama City.
Yeah, where it's just like some rundown turf that you're just like, well, this
Yeah,
looked
it's
good,
kind
probably
of
1997.
and the turf's kind of like you got some added like peaks you got to go through because
Yeah,
the turf's like worked its way up.
they
And
got like
there's
concrete
some
sides
wrinkles.
because they just made these things permanent.
Yeah, and there's some wrinkles in the the turf.
Yeah, it's not even real bunkers. It's just all concrete.
Yeah, it's just yeah, exactly.
All
Yeah.
right. All right, well, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back with some bourbon release news. Back with some bourbon release news. And some people in the chat were saying, we probably left something out that might be something that I've never actually done before. You ever done disc golf before?
Oh yeah, my whole crew at Go Green, they love disc golf. They play like it's insane. They have like all the different ones that are like drivers and putters and irons. They have like these backpacks they carry with like 10 different frisbees, and then they like roll around coolers of beer with them. I don't know. They love it.
All
We
right, I
actually
guess
have
I'll have to look. I
we
mean,
have
is
one
it
of the
is all right? I mean, honestly, I'm really green at this. Is it are the frisbees like the difference between like an iron and a driver? Do they just weight it differently? Like, is there? Can
yeah,
you
it's
just like not
great question.
throw it as hard that you wanted to go? Like,
I
I
think
really
the
don't know.
drivers can like go they don't curve as much or something. I don't know. It's I, I have no idea.
All right.
It's
Well,
fascinating though.
all right. So I guess I got to pick up that. I got to pick up pickleball so I can pick up with you.
Pickleball's where it's at.
Well, also in the chat, a lot of people are talking about soccer golf. I've never done soccer golf either. For somebody that I played soccer for 15 years of my life, and I've never played soccer golf. I've seen videos of it. It'd be fun, but I don't know anywhere in Louisville that you could do that.
Well, we'll probably be better at soccer golf than real golf.
That's probably true. I'll do that every day.
Anything but real golf, we're probably good at. I'm good
It's
at
just
golden
so
tee.
frustrating.
Yeah, good at golden tee. A1.
All right, here we go. Let's talk about some whiskey. So Traverse City, their portfolio of premium whiskeys and their bourbons made in Michigan, they unveiled their finishing series. It's a set of three types of whiskeys finished up for up to 12 months in unique wine casks. For first is their port barrel finish. It's a bourbon fish featuring their classic straight bourbon mash bill, which is a 75-21-4, aged for 5 years and rested for nearly 12 months in a massive 300-liter ruby port wine barrel. That's 100 proof. They also have their Cab Franc barrel finish, and that's their 100% straight rye whiskey, aged for 5 years and rested for nearly 12 months in Cabernet Franc barrels from an artisan northern Michigan from an artisan in northern Michigan winery region. And that's at 97.5 proof. And the last one is their sherry barrel finish, and it's a unique high rye bourbon whiskey mash bill of 60% corn, 36% rye, and 4% malted barley, which was aged for 5 years in new American oak barrels and rested in Pedro Zinema's sherry wine barrels for nearly 12 months at 95 proof. Whiskey enthusiasts can now purchase this complete set of three or individuals at the company's two tasting rooms and online at tcwhiskey.com for $60 a piece.
Hmm. Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like the squib mash bills.
It did a
75
little
21
bit.
4 and the 60
36.4. Yep.
yeah 36 4.
I mean, it did say actually we picked a barrel from Travis before, and it was MGP. But it did say their portfolio of premium whiskeys and bourbon made in Michigan, so that made me think a little bit differently. But I know we have picked a barrel from them before, and it's squib juice.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they've transitioned or not. And they did. I think we talked about where they were going to build this like massive new distillery and visitor center, whatnot, there in Traverse. So I heard Traverse City's awesome. I haven't. I keep. We look at going to Michigan to in the summer, but it's like it's booked all the time. Like you can't find
Is it
anything. And
really?
you look in January to go August, like booked. Sorry. And you're like, well, I guess I'm not going. I don't know.
Are they the ones that do all the cherry stuff too?
Yeah, they have those cherry. The cherries are great. John Henderson sent me a thing of cherries from Traverse City. They're amazing. They're
Okay.
good. It's the closest thing to like Luxardos that aren't Luxardos.
Ooh,
So
all
they're really
right.
good.
You might have me sold on that one. I'll have to figure out what it's all about.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
So, Iowa's Cedar Ridge Winery and Distillery, they've launched their latest expression, which is barrel proof straight bourbon whiskey. This is crafted from 74% corn, 14% rye, and 12% malted barley. The whiskey is aged in char number 3 barrels and non-chill filtered, and all Cedar Ridge barrels are aged in non-climate controlled rickhouses, exposing them to the temperature swings of over 100 degrees each year, resulting in a unique flavor profile particular to Iowa's climate. So fans of Cedar Ridge's original 86 bourbon will love this bolder 116 proof whiskey, along with the straight bourbon whiskey and the quintessential. Cedar Ridge Distillery continues to build on its portfolio of whiskey, which now includes limited releases of award-winning bottled and bond and double barrel bourbons.
100 degrees, huh? I bet.
100
I
degree
bet.
swings, apparently.
I bet most states have that. If you, but yeah, I don't know. I've never been to Iowa. It's like north something, north central.
Oh, you're in the Hawkeye state right there, man. You're in wrestling territory.
Yeah, I'm not a wrestler.
That's that's what I grew up with, man. It's like Penn State, Ohio State, Iowa, and
One
even
Cedar
Iowa
Ridge,
State.
the one that did the Slipknot
Yep.
thing, was that
Yep.
Cedar Ridge? Okay,
That's them. That's them. And Cedar Ridge is
that
also
was
the
them.
one. Well, yeah, Cedar Ridge is also the one that outsells Maker's Mark in Iowa.
Okay, well,
So they must
it
be doing
makes
something
sense.
right.
Yeah,
It, that is the, I'll use the word quintessential again. That is the quintessential definition of owning your backyard right there.
that's right. Dave Pickerel's advice.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, own your yard.
That's how to do it.
Yep.
All right, we got three more to go here. This next one's pretty quick. So Molson Coors and their subsidiary of Coors Whiskey Company.
More popsicles.
Oh,
Beer
actually, you're
pops.
right. They've been in the news two times this week. No, they're actually doing a new bourbon. They've unveiled Barman 1873 bourbon. So it's going to start hitting shelves April 3rd, and Barman 1873 joins the roster alongside Coors Five Trail Blended American Whiskey. So Barman 1873 is a blend of two bourbons. The brand combines the Coors family's German hometown and the year the Coors Brewing launched. Barman 1873 will be co-displayed with Coors Banquet in some locations. This bourbon is 92 proof and has a suggested retail price of around $40 to $43 per bottle.
Man, I love banquet beer. That's my jam. I love Coors Banquet.
You know, that's probably what they're missing in all this in their market research. It's like, let's figure out who's our Coors Banquet beer drinkers, and let's see if we can pair a whiskey to go right alongside with Coors Banquet, and we'll be able to capitalize on that market.
So you're saying a bullet banquet Boilermaker?
Yeah, why not a Barman Banquet Bolo Maker?
I've never been a Boilermaker fan.
Oh
It's like,
hell no! I mean, I've done one before, but I'm not a fan. By the
yeah, it
way,
makes the whiskey taste like way too corny or something. I don't know. I think
dude,
I'm either gonna drink beer or I'm gonna drink whiskey.
well, that's the thing is like a bullet maker, like it doesn't make sense. If anybody that doesn't know, a bullet maker is literally you drop a shot of whiskey into your beer and you just chug it, and it's not a pleasurable experience.
No, I remember I had to do that Bourbon Beyond talk. It was like pairing bourbons with beer. It was like with the Lagunitas and Danny Con. It was a fascinating thing, and I'm like, guys, I'm never gonna do this. Like, just we had a lot of people come, and it's like, I can't pair bourbons and beers. It's like I want to drink them independent. I don't want them together.
Oh
But I know
man,
some people do. Sorry, I'm not that cool.
I'm kind of with you. It's got to be in that mood. But I mean, to be fair, I
I'm
actually
never in that mood.
I had a beer earlier and then I switched to bourbon. But I'm not like pairing them together. I'm just
No,
not
never.
doing that.
I've never thought like, you know what, this beer would go great with a bourbon, or vice versa.
You know what this Coors Light's missing right now? A good MGP 96 proofer.
Yeah, I've never had a banquet and been like, I bet they could come up with a five trail that really goes with this.
You're right. We missed the mark there.
Yep.
All right. So one of the second to last stories here, but on the top of the list was that Rocktown Calm Still collection. This is a new expression where every sip takes you on a journey through the heart of Kentucky and straight to the soul of Arkansas. And before we get started, I want to mention that I'm going to preface is that I love this because Ryan, you're going to remember that this particular distillery sent this question as a topic for us to discuss on the podcast one time. So this collection was born out of a quest to bring forth the best of both worlds together in a single bottle of bourbon. So in March of 2020, head distiller Phil Brandon set on a mission to find the way to keep up with the demand for Rocktown bourbon. The search ended when he discovered the collaborative distilling program offered by Bardstown Bourbon Company, which allowed him to use his own bourbon recipes in the same Arkansas-grown grains that have helped produce the quality that Rocktown is known for. Working with their grain partners at Stratton Seed from Stuttgart, Arkansas, 180,000 pounds of Arkansas-grown corn and wheat were trucked 500 miles to Bardstown, Kentucky. And so the adventure began, making Arkansas bourbon in the heart of Kentucky. So you have three new expressions. You got the small batch at 92 proof and the single barrel cask strength that were column distilled at Bardstown Bourbon Company. And the mash bill is 79% Arkansas corn, 8% Arkansas wheat, and 13% malted barley. There's also a toasted French oak finish at 100 proof. And these are all aged to perfection at Rocktown Distillery's Barrel House in downtown Little Rock. The only thing I don't have is the price on them. But do you remember this question that was in a like ask Pursuit for advice where he
Mm-hmm.
said,
I
"Do
do.
I
Yeah.
expand my distillery or do I go and source other?"
Yeah.
This was the answer that came out of it.
It was a wise decision. I mean, because utilize the facilities at Bardstown Bourbon Company. It's it's a repeatable science. Just using your specific grains and mash bills. I think it was the right move. I think it's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I thought it was an interesting thing to see because I remember very vividly talking about this on that episode. I wish I would have pulled it up and we'd have the episode number, but it was something where he did ask, and he says, right now, it's like, do you invest in your own distillery and keep growing it, or do you source to try and just have product? And I remember our answer was, if you want to stay true to yourself and people like your product, don't go sourcing. Like, try to figure
Right.
out another
Yeah.
way to kind of go around it. And I'm glad to see that this is what happened. This is what came out of it. So very, very cool to see. Here we are a few
Yeah.
years later. Now we see the fruits of something come to fruition, I guess you could say.
I just want to try it now
No, no, me too.
for our free advice. It's payment.
Yeah. Actually, what it was a free advice from Pursuit episode. We had two of those. We should probably do another one soon.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. So our last news article is that Chicken Cock has released a double oak Kentucky whiskey. Remind you, Kentucky whiskey, which is aged for 8 years. So the special release was created in response to the increased consumer demand for double oak whiskey, which, according to Nielsen, is growing at 18% compared to the overall whiskey category growth of only 1% year over year. The history behind double oak goes back to 2014 barrel shortages when cooperages just couldn't make barrels due to the unusually heavy wait, does it say precipitation? Oh yeah, it is. Heavy precipitation that impacted logging. Distilleries continued to make whiskey, but they were forced to put whiskey in used barrels. Because one of the key requirements is being labeled a Kentucky straight bourbon, this liquid must be aged in new white American oak barrels. So Chicken Cock whiskey double oak is a combination of two distinct barrel finishings: a 7-year-old Kentucky whiskey, which was aged in used barrels and then transferred into new white American oak barrels, which were placed on the top floor of the rickhouse at Bardstown Bourbon Company during one of the hottest Kentucky summers on record, which is perfect for aging whiskey. After about 18 months in American oak barrels, and new ones, should I say, the team bottled Chicken Cock Double Oak, making it an 8-year-old Kentucky whiskey, bottled in a Prohibition era Chicken Cock replica apothecary style at 92 proof and available nationally at retail and online for $100.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I guess if it's a 7, 8, I guess that was right around time the barrel shortage was probably going on. What that was
Seven
like?
plus years ago.
Yeah.
Now we're back at it again. So it's like a every 7 year storm.
Well, well, no, because
I'm just
the
kidding.
yeah, yeah, the whiskey that's being bought now was turning the barrel shorters in, but yeah,
I'm just saying because you can't get barrels now, but that's for a different reason.
yeah. There's plenty of wood now. It's just there's no labor to allegedly to do the stave process or whatever stave mill process.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one. It is one interesting thing that bourbon's gonna have to think about in the future. It's like, okay, we've kind of hung our hat on this new white oak or virgin white oak thing. It's like how you want to play on buzzwords of doing renewable farms or whatever, regenerative crops and blah blah blah. But you know, the barrel's got to be regenerative, and they're not quite, to be bourbon. So, um, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how that. And Chicken Cock's probably like, why the hell are you bringing this into our release story? But that's where my mind goes.
Well, it reminds me because we've got I get to listen to all the new episodes going to come out because I have to make all the show notes and all this other stuff for post processing and stuff like that. And we have one coming out with Andrew Weebrink of ISC. And you go and you say and you ask Andrew, are we experiencing the bourbon shortage because of toasted barrels? Because people are just using them for 3 months
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
tossing them.
right.
So stay tuned for that one. But the one thing that I found really interesting about this is that they are capitalizing on that double oak name, and this is a very very smart move because
Oh yeah, you
most
can use.
people are not gonna. They will look past the fact that it doesn't say bourbon on it, but it'll say chicken cock Kentucky whiskey double oaked. They won't even think. They won't even think
Yeah,
twice
let's
about
see
it.
double oaked.
That's
And
all that's going to happen. And so I think this is going to go off very well. I really cannot wait to get a sample of this, and it almost makes me think, like, have a small tendency, but I'm not going to act upon it, to say, what if we got some of those MGP light whiskey barrels and double oaked it? And we had like 14-year double oaked. Like, would people go crazy for it? I have no idea.
probably, yeah. You just gotta give it a fancy name, like I don't know. But yeah, it's you're right. It's a brilliant move because people would see American whiskey and be like, I don't know. But now it says double
Double
oaked.
oak. Well, in that case, I'll give it a go.
Yeah, that was like, ooh, I like wood for double oaked, so I'm gonna do chicken cock double oak.
Yeah. I mean, it's a
I am excited to try because I am interested to see if you take because that's the thing with using a previously used barrel is that we've had it with corn whiskey or light whiskey or whatever. It just doesn't have there's good flavors, but it doesn't have that richness that a new charred oak barrel is. But now taking that and putting it in a toasted barrel or whatever, yeah, I'm interested to see.
you kind of like reverse it. It's like instead of
Right.
having a new barrel for 7 years and then barrel, it's like you have the used barrel and then you kind of just give a little bit of oomph to it. And then I love what At Home Dad says in the chat. He's like, oh, in that case, well, you might as well just triple barrel it. And I'm like, God damn it, that's a good idea too.
Yeah. I do love it says, why would you double barrel something during a barrel shortage? that's that's a good point, Paul. It's
Uh-huh. That's that's not what people care about though. You
people
know,
will spin the marketing message however they want. So whether it's regenerative farming or we're conserving barrels by doing used barrels, but they were putting them in new barrel. I don't know. It's all shenanigans, whatever.
at the end of the day, I think people are just going to drink what they want, and that's
Yeah,
what's going to win.
that's right.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm really looking forward to this release just because I want to try it
Me too.
just for curiosity purposes, and who knows, maybe there'll be a Pursuit whiskey double triple oaks one of these days because we'll be like, shit, that was a great idea. Let's go ahead and just run with that too.
Yeah, let's just fill in our used barrels and put in a new barrel.
Yeah, why not? We'll just keep swapping barrels until it starts tasting good.
But that's why we're sustainable. We use cubes because we're regenerative. We're,
Exactly. Exactly.
yep,
We are thinking about the planet, just one barrel at a time.
that's right. One cube at a time.
Well, that'll do it for this week in bourbon. There wasn't a whole lot of news, but I think we did a really good job of filling up time with a bunch of
Yeah,
banter.
sorry, I just rambled a lot tonight.
It's okay. That's what I love about it, and that's what people love about the show too.
Yep. But until next week,
Yeah. Cheers, everybody.
toodles.